I just wanna burn you down tonight. I'm just getting started.
And now for something completely different that no one saw coming. Short Stack are officially back. Stack is the new black, was the old Short Stack. This is the new stuff. They've signed to UNFD, and frontman Shaun joins me now for a chat. Mate, welcome back to the Stack.
Thank you. Yeah, we're with UNFD now, which is fucking sick. To be honest with you, it was a little bit of a dream come true, which is pretty cool.
Now, you guys, for those who are stupidly unaware, Short Stack uprose through the mainstream cycles about 10, 13 years ago or so, roughly. Sway Sway Baby, Planets, all of those songs. And what you've essentially done is a rebirth of the band. This is what's happening and why the signing to UNFD happened and came about.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. We've grown up in the scene. It's really funny. We have meetings with them, do Zoom calls with the whole UNFD team and shit. And there are people from America, and they're like, "Oh, I have no idea who the fuck you are." So it's kind of funny.
Well, it's because they're not a 15-year-old girl, Shaun. So that's the exact reason why they wouldn't know who you are.
Maybe.
And with that said, you have a new sound, a new style, a new direction for the band, something we haven't seen you dabble in before. There's a yell. I don't want to call it a scream, but there's a yell on your new song.
I'm just getting started.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. We, as I said, we kind of grew up listening to heavier sort of music. Not ridiculously heavy shit, but we listened to rock bands. We hung out with all our friends that were in bands were in heavier bands too. So yeah, it was just us that was super pop. Everyone else we hung around were they're actually in cool bands. So we haven't done music in 6 or 7 years. So yeah, it's kind of like the music we always listen to. And the beauty of being signed to UNFD was I always wanted to do a record like this. I always really wanted to make this is the kind of record I always wanted to make. And yeah, it's awesome to get to do it with them.
Which is perfect and, showcases what you've been involved with this scene. I mean, because you take a look at when Short Stack was coming up, you were touring with the likes of Heroes for Hire. I mean, you essentially made Heroes for Hire because you took them on tour with you. And no one would bat an eyelid when you compare someone like Tonight Alive, who came up the ranks alongside Parkway Drive and the Amity Affliction and Skyway Boys. So, if you're involved with the scene and unfortunately you're just not making music that fits that scene, it doesn't mean you can't be included, right?
Yeah, Tonight Alive, we grew up playing shows with them. We grew up playing with the Boys and Hellions when they were the Bride. We played shows with them, and yeah, we were very much kind of in it. And then we sort of just split off from it, especially our second record. We had a bit of commercial success, so we sort of just went down the pop route on it, which was cool because we really wanted to do it. But at this point in our lives, we haven't released a song in 6 or 7 years. So we're like, oh, fuck it. We just want to do something that, we're really, really into and super proud of. Not that we're not really proud of the old stuff that we were doing. This is just really indicative of where we are at the moment.
So not much has changed. The only thing that sort of happened is you boys grew up, you became dads, you're daddy as fuck nowadays, and now you're sort of returning to this band to create a new sound, potentially bringing in new fans in the process. I mean, taking a listen to your new song, Burn You Down, it's got elements of what Bring Me the Horizon have done with the last two releases they've put out. And when you take a look at the trajectory that Bring Me the Horizon have done, they've gone from heavy to where they are now. You guys started off in the pop direction, and now you're heading backwards to kind of meet where they are. Is that intentional, or what's the cause with that?
A little bit. I really am a massive fan of theirs, and I only became a massive fan of theirs recently. Obviously, we grew up with all the when they used to do the pig squeals and shit like that, 100 years ago in Diamonds Are Forever and all that sort of shit. So yeah, and then obviously they had a huge following in MySpace and that worked from that. So yeah, it's the kind of stuff we're listening to. We listen to Architects heaps and Amity and stuff like that. And that's why when the chance came to sign to UNFD, obviously, they championed Architects and Amity pretty hard. We were like, well, that's pretty sick. It's kind of where we're drawing a lot of influence from at the moment.
So you're going to say in future years we're going to see pits open up at short stack concerts as opposed to screaming girls like throwing their bras on the stage at you?
I don't know if we're quite that heavy. That seems like a lot of work.
Well, you know, the world is your oyster right now. You have more. Would you say you have more control over your music with this new label as opposed to who you worked with in the past and the direction they wanted you to head?
I think the music industry as a whole is just completely different. You know, like the pressure that was put on us to have like a radio single, and the pressure was put on every musician back in the day to have a radio single. It's pretty much non-existent now. You know what I mean? Like the having a song on the radios, it doesn't make or break a band anymore. So it's kind of cool for us just to be really true to ourselves and put something out that we really believe in. And you know, it's pretty. I'm not gonna say it's super experimental, but for us, it's definitely really experimental, and it's really, you know, pushing the boundaries for what we want to do. And Burn You Down was actually the last song we wrote for it. And we have like this awesome management team now. Just everyone, the whole team behind the scenes is really cool. All the UNFD guys, and we're signed to Unified Management as well. So just that machine behind us is something really cool and something we haven't really had before.
And they're nurturing you to follow the dreams, to follow this direction, and to, you know, ease your way into the scene that you've been, you know, a part of since the very early years of your career.
Yeah, I keep telling them how big a divas we are, and they think we're joking, but we're definitely not.
I remember the fucking stories about the hairspray, mate. Look, have a look here. For those who don't know, back in 2009, when I was sort of just starting my radio career, Short Stack got played on the radio, and I remember the day you guys came into the studio and where that photo was taken there, and you know, you guys had the hair all dolled up and everything, and I'm like, yeah, these guys are pretty sick, you know, they're into some of the same bands I'm into, but I just could never get into the appeal of what you guys were doing back then, and the looks and all that. But you were divas.
I think we were always pretty yeah, we like to have fun.
That's one way to put it, Shaun Diviney. That's one way to put it. And we've had a lot of fun over the years as well too, like seeing you guys progress. You even went out and you did your own solo project too. So with all the experiences you've had with Short Stack, out in the music business on your own and now coming back into it, would you say you're more mature in terms of songwriting? Are we going to hear you writing about the struggles of life and the pressures of mental health and things like that?
A little bit, actually, yeah. Which is a bit strange for us. The writing side of things is because I hadn't really done music or anything for like 5 or 6 years, and we're doing this album now, and there's only like one idea from one of the songs back in the day that kind of made the cut. Everything's pretty fresh, and then like writing a song is a muscle I sort of hadn't flexed in a while. So when we went down to do it, it was a little bit more of a collaborative process than it was on the previous sort of stuff with the boys. So yeah, I suppose our experiences and now are a little bit different, and it's kind of therapeutic in a way because I began to really fall in love with the writing process again, which is something I hadn't really thought about. And man, the biggest difference at the moment is, you know, we still like to party and have fun and all that. Like we haven't really grown up too much, but it's just the gratitude to appreciate the situation that we're in. Like we're very aware that we're so lucky to be in the position we are. You know, like there's not many bands that have the support that we've had for so long, and we're so grateful for our fans for it and the people that support us. And you know, we just really don't take anything for granted. We just really just try and practice, you know, come from a place of gratitude as much as possible, I guess.
And look, you look at all the success you've had. I mean, like the amount of tours you went on, the tour you got kicked off. We'll talk about that in a second. You got an ARIA #1 album, but you haven't won an ARIA award. So, like, you know, you give and take. And Nickelodeon awards and things like that. Weren't you involved with?
The Nickelodeon award doubles as a kaleidoscope. I don't know if people really know that. When you turn it sideways, it turns into a kaleidoscope.
Oh, really? There you go. I haven't won one, so there you go.
I tell you what, my kid's a lot more impressed by Nick. But so here's what I tell people. I tell people I've won an ARIA award because technically I have. Because every time you get a #1 album, ARIA gives you an award. So I have an award from ARIA, but I don't have an ARIA award.
Yeah, it's not the pointy, stabby doorstopper one that you can use for robbers and things like that.
Yeah, and then we hang out with proper bands and they have like 400 of them. And I'm like, can I look at fun?
Well, look, you know, potentially if things go well with this new song, and I'm going to say there's more new music on the way because you said it before, do you reckon we could see Short Stack being nominated in the heavy metal category? Like, every single year when they just chuck every band hit from left, right, and center in.
Yeah, and then they don't even announce it on the night, and they just talk about it in the car park or something like that, and give
Yeah,
it
exactly.
the respect it deserves.
I think things will change, like if you actually get nominated and you win something and then you have to go on stage, because people would want to see that, because you've had this reputation with ARIA and with the Australian music scene for, over a decade.
Yeah, I think so. Every time I've ever been to ARIAs, I've been like ridiculously wasted, so I'm not sure anybody would want me anywhere near an acceptance speech.
All right, so it's going to be a big year for the Stack coming back. The signing is great. The new song is out. If you've been hesitant to check out Short Stack over the years, I highly recommend giving them a second chance, because this is the potential for what you said, Shaun. This is a chance for you to be the band that you have always wanted to be. Like, what made you say that, and why do you stand by that statement?
I think there's just there was always a pressure on us to, as I kind of said, write like pop and radio songs more so than anything. So this stuff is like, we really knuckled down and wanted to create something that we were just really proud of, I think is at the end of the day. And we're writing for different reasons too. Like we have we have kids and stuff now, and there's a thing in the back of my head when I'm writing, it's like, one day I'll be dead, my kids will listen to this, and what will they kind of think about it, which is a bit fucking morbid, but whatever. So yeah, that's a thought that never existed before. So we just want to do something that we're super proud of, and just our tastes musically too. Like I don't know, I've sort of gravitated a bit more to the heavier sides of things in recent years, and the bands I kind of listen to like a lot, like as I said, like Bring Me, and I really like Architects and Amity, and like on the punk side of thing, like Pup and Sorority Noise and stuff like that. So making this kind of stuff, it's kind of fun, and there's a huge electronic element there too, which we kind of did on our earlier stuff, but then we kind of got rid of a little bit. So it's kind of cool to bring that back too.
So it's a new evolution. You guys are older. You're actually making decent music. But in saying that, I say decent music, but it was catchy. What you did back in the day was great, and it will go down in history as what launched your careers. And now you get to do some fun stuff as you progressed.
Man, it's crazy. It's like I wrote Shimmy a Go-Go in high school and stuff like that. It's like insane. It's insane, and we're still like, it's crazy to us. We're still, that those songs mean so much to someone. But at the end of the day, like I grew up, like Link's my favorite band of all time, and those songs are just stupidly simple, and that's kind of like what we want to do too. I think some of the parts in it aren't overly complicated, and there's always like this really cool thing inside of us when we see like young bands in high school playing our songs. Like that's something that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, being like influential leaders of the next generation, so to say.
Yeah, that's definitely it. It's not because I'm a shit guitarist and can't write hard parts. It's definitely that.
All right, I touched on it before. We need to address this, because any single time this band name gets mentioned, I always go back to the shitstorm that happened when Short Stack went on tour with a little band called The Vamps. Now, if you haven't heard of The Vamps, it's probably a good thing, because they had one big radio hit and then disappeared. But they got you to go on tour with them, and then you boys got kicked off the tour in Perth. What the fuck happened?
I think our crew got in a fight with their crew. It was boiling for ages. It's good that you're talking to me about this one-on-one, because the boys don't like it when I talk about it. It was 100% all Andy's fault we got kicked off.
Just throw him under the bus.
We just got kicked off the tour, and we decided at the very last minute that we would throw a club show. So fingers crossed that some people show up.
One night we're in Adelaide, and it was just, oh my god, I've never witnessed anything like it. Like the and I don't want to put it down, because they were pretty nice guys, but like the machine around them and the management and stuff like that, it's like, man, in my personal opinion, that is everything that's wrong with the music industry. So just this manufactured boy band just trying so hard to be 5 Seconds of Summer, but they clearly weren't. And it was just a weird thing to be a part of. And it's like, it's not like we were new on the scene. Like, what we're like. Everyone in Australia knows what we're like, and they wanted us to come on there, and they cut our set short, and then they started fucking with our volume on nights and stuff like that. And then what happened? Oh, yeah. And then when they did kick us off, they didn't want us to announce that we weren't kicked off. And then I don't know if it came from them or someone else. And they're like, well, they weren't going to pay us if we said we didn't get kicked off and shit like that. The whole thing was just super weird. And I thought it'd ruin our relationship with the booking agent. That was my biggest concern. But that was Frontier. They're doing our tour now. and they love us. So like, I guess I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Exactly, that's it. Like, you've gone from being this, how would I dare say, like this product of the mainstream commercial radio, commercial mainstream industry, to now, you know, having this voice and doing what you want to do and not being forced to do things you don't want to do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that was always strange to us is like, you hired Short Stack to come on and play shows with you, and then you got upset when we, you know, said fuck on stage and stuff like that. It's like, you know who we are? And then they got like upset when we drank and stuff like that. It's like, man, do you guys know who the fuck you hired here? Like, the most bizarre thing happened from it, and this is when I knew this is fucking weird. And this is gonna, like, I know this is gonna get me in trouble for saying this. We're on this plane, and they were on the plane too. And then someone must have leaked that the Vamps were on the plane, and then a whole bunch of kids went and saw them or something like that. But someone told me like the person that was with them leaked where they were, and then they complained that we were telling people where the Vamps were. Like, man, I don't give a fuck what you do. My rider's full. The check clears for playing the show. We're good. You guys do whatever the fuck you want in the middle.
All right, well, we can't wait to see you guys return to the stage whenever that may be. COVID's kind of put a restriction on that, but when you do come back, you're going to have a plethora of new songs and a new direction we can't wait to see. Shaun Diviney, I'm glad Short Sat's back. I'm glad we finally got the chance to clear the air and talk about what was and what's going to be, and I, for one, look forward to being and having my mind blown by this new music, okay? Like, I'm putting money on it. This might be my surprise release of 2021.
Thanks, man. This is the best song. Don't put that much pressure on. This is by far the best song. The rest are all pretty average. This is why I'm putting this one out first.